They electrocuted me 8 times. Each time I was laid out dead on a stretcher.
Yes, the higher the floors you get, you think you're being watched. It's really not very comfortable. Bodies found in freezers, in their yards, skin hanging up. It was really uncomfortable.
Formally started the investigation was trying to get these windows open, and all of a sudden 3 of us heard a voice say, "Pull down from the top."
We've seen insane asylums that torture patients to their breaking points in movies and TV shows. But what if we told you that this actually happened in real life? Although it's difficult to imagine that something as horrible as this could happen, the Milledgeville Asylum proves otherwise. To this day, the name of Milledgeville Asylum scares many people, especially those who survived that hospital and the staff who worked there. How did this asylum come into existence? Previously known as the Central State Hospital, or CSH, Georgia State Mental Asylum was the largest facility in the state for treating mental illness and developmental impairments. It's situated in Milledgeville, Georgia. Founded in December 1842, the establishment expanded to become the most prominent mental hospital in the world by the 1960s, rivaling Pilgrim Psychiatric Center in New York. The original architecture of Milledgeville Asylum. The asylum consists of approximately 200 structures on 2,000 acres, including the iconic Powell Building and the large abandoned 1929 Jones Building, currently housing 200 mental health patients. The CSH complex spans around 1,750 acres, or 710 hectacres, including a pecan orchard and old cemeteries. The recent state of asylum. Most of the building's interior is officially off-limits due to the structural problems and records of asbestos exposure dating back decades in the asylum. Stairs have crumbled, windows have been closed, and roofs have caved in. However, 4 of the buildings were remodeled into a prison. The graveyard. Thousands of graves of former patients still present on the premises remind us that many people entered Milledgeville but never left. It would be wrong to say that the identity of the people in graves is unknown, as they all have numbers. These numbers protect people's privacy. The horror of Milledgeville Asylum. The asylum turned into a torture hospital when there was an insane increase in the population of the patients. The hospital's capacity was far exceeded by the 12,000 patients in the 1960s. With a doctor-to-patient ratio of 1 to 100, it was severely understaffed. Because of these circumstances, the standard of care drastically decreased, and the asylum gained a bad reputation for mistreating its residents. Numerous Georgians, frequently with ailments that did not qualify as mental illness and were considered funny, were sent to Milledgeville in large numbers. Parents often threatened their children with Milledgeville when they misbehaved. Novelist Terry Kay of Georgia remembers that it was one of the few words with great power when he was a little lad in the 1940s. The terrifying Milledgeville Asylum practices. A hospital is a place to heal people, but in Milledgeville it was quite the opposite. Doctors used both far less advanced methods and the psychiatric instruments of the day, such as insulin shock, lobotomies, and early electroshock therapy. Adults were forced to take cold steam showers, were shackled in straitjackets, and were given nauseants for treatment. Children were even kept in metal cages. In his 1952 book, But for the Grace of God, the inside story of the world's largest insane asylum, Dr. Peter G. Cranford, the hospital's senior clinical psychologist, stated, "It has witnessed the heights of man's humanity and the depths of his degradation." Jack Nelson of the Atlanta Constitution examined claims of a snake pit in 1959. Nelson discovered that there were just 48 physicians in the hospital, and none of them were a psychiatrist. Some of the doctors who took care of patients were even former inmates of the asylum. It's a horrible truth that the asylum's management was aided by its own patients. Unveiling the dark realities of Milledgeville Asylum. The asylum is exposed to a variety of uncomfortable scenarios. Children choking on various things was a common accident at the Craig Center. In the meantime, those with criminal records and mental health problems were held at the Allen Building, where certain rooms had cages or tray slots for close supervision. The higher floors were much more uncomfortable, giving rise to a persistent paranoia and a sense of being watched constantly.
Yes, the higher the floors you get, The more like chill bumps you'll get, you'll be paranoid. You think you're being watched. It's really not very comfortable.
Even little goods like pens or pins were restricted entirely due to stringent security procedures.
Really couldn't even have pens or pencils. You couldn't have anything on you. It was high security.
That forbade bringing anything inside the facility other than water. The atmosphere was so oppressive that it was difficult to breathe. Unsettlingly, there were frequent reports of pedophilia and cannibalism in the area. Unbelievably, some people went too far, killing people and using their corpses as spaghetti sauce.
When you were working there was cannibalism?
Yes.
In what regard?
As far as killing people, putting the meat in spaghetti.
As authorities investigated further, people were found in freezers and in their yards.
Bodies found in freezers, in their yards, skin hanging up. It was really uncomfortable.
Gruesome exhibitions of skin were also displayed. Being on the night shift increased the tension for employees because there were fewer people around. One had to be extra cautious of their safety. Additionally, stress was increased by odd noises, unsettling calls, and the enduring sensation of being followed. The night shift at Central State turned into a terrifying period for people who were being mistreated or even killed. Treatment of mental illness in the past. During that time, mental illness was not widely understood, and punishments were carried out using a variety of tools. One piece of equipment was a plywood box with holes that could only be used to lay flat. A second box was used if people were still crying, screaming, or acting out of control. It resembled the first one apart from sharp points on it. This device looked like a coffin while the eyes were visible. People were segregated and held for days or even longer.
It looks like a coffin, but all you have is the eyes, where you can see the eyes. They'd put them in there.
Their odor of urine and excrement overwhelming everyone around them. Many people were found in the halls without appropriate clothing, adding to the hopelessness. The goal, motivated by a lack of knowledge, was to treat mental illness with torture. The situation was tragic, as the victims were exposed to physical violence, harassment, and food withholding as punishment measures. Though everyone remained silent and avoided conversation, there was clear evidence of these practices. Complaints were filed repeatedly, and promises were made to address the matter. Nevertheless, no concrete steps towards improvement were ever taken. Milledgeville Asylum patient Alma Thorpe's story. Alma Thorpe suffered a terrifying experience during electroconvulsive therapy while she was a patient at the Mental State Hospital. She ended up on a stretcher each time the surgery was performed on her. Alma saw a kind white nurse as an angel who would guide her through these hard times and encourage her to wake up.
They electrocuted me 8 times. Each time I was laid out dead on a stretcher. And this white woman, she was real white. I don't know if she was an angel, or if she was just a regular woman. But she'd come and she'd take me by the hand and she'd say, "Wake up, Alma." And I would come back to life.
Paranormal investigator experience at Milledgeville Asylum. When the team set up base camp on one of the second-floor rooms of Milledgeville Asylum during the summer, the investigator had a problem. They couldn't figure out how to open the windows. Before properly launching the investigation, 3 team members heard a voice directing them to pull down from the top.
Formally started the investigation was trying to get these windows open, and all of a sudden 3 of us heard a voice say, "Pull down from the top."
There was conjecture that the windows could have been nailed closed. The voice recorder was on, but it could not record this mysterious voice. It was one of the more confusing situations for the investigator. But the 3 team members were positive they heard it. The investigator and the team investigated the uncanny encounters and destroyed the building for more clues. During an incursion, team members alternated being imprisoned in a room with iron bars on the door. There were very few personal experiences other than the voice. Most interactions were recorded on audio and video. The current status of Milledgeville Asylum. Following a 2010 agreement with the federal government, Georgia transferred all mentally and developmentally disabled patients to community facilities. This decision follows a 1999 U.S. Supreme Court ruling in a Georgia case that permits patients with mental health issues to choose community care over institutionalization, if a professional agrees. In 2010, Central State ceased taking on new patients. The haunting and heartbreaking story of Milledgeville Asylum ends here. If you find this video thrilling, please hit the thumbs up button and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this.